They say a man is judged by the company he keeps, and I must be a massive grub because we are joined today by former Waratah, founder of Human Performance, Tom Carter. Welcome.
Thanks very much.
And the usual grub, William, hello. Now, weekend, Australia played against Ireland the second test. They say, without hope, there is no true to spare. I hope, I now despair. What went wrong?
I think obviously, great performance up at Suncorp, and then losing Genia probably affected their momentum. And then I think we've spoken about it. The yellow card to Korobidi affected. 10 points were scored, and they obviously got a little bit away from us there. But I think that they'll be able to turn it around this week. They'll have a good prep and just their kicking game. They tried to play a territory-based game against Ireland, and their contestables for Israel on the right wing. I don't think Izzy could touch the ball enough and couldn't get into the game. And then Halves weren't able to execute that field position game. So I suppose things that are very fixable and in their control. And Ireland are the second best team in the world. They're a very good football side.
Yeah,
Johnny Sexton's a superstar, and so is Conor Murray. British Lions. They've won a lot of big games, and they were able to steer Ireland home. But 3 tries to 2 in Australia's favour probably indicates that.
With the 10 minutes getting sent off in Union, it's a massive thing. Like Korobidi, obviously it was a dangerous tackle, wasn't it? Did he deserve the red card?
Well, no, but this is where the referees have gone with if the legs get above horizontal and you don't return.
It's the same as league as well. So league, just say if you get, obviously everyone's getting sent off these days for stupid indiscretions, but it's probably about 4 to 6 points. But in Union, it can cost you the game. It's like about 10. It's like at least 7 to 10 points in 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's where they lost control of the game, because I right in the game before that, and then Ireland.
To the letter of the law, though, he brought him past the horizontal. So
yeah, he did, but it's like the red card in the French.
Didn't drive him into the ground, but
I'm with Willie, and I think the red card in the French game ruined the entire series. So the fullback's trying to look where the ball is. Bowden Barrett gets hit in the air, automatic red through letter of the law, but it's ruined an entire series.
Yeah.
And there's people paying. Let's be honest, rugby's a pretty boring game. And it's not doing that well in terms of, spectacles. Yeah. They've just killed a series by a referee going to letter of the law. Surely their job is to adjudicate based on, was their intent, was it malicious? It clearly wasn't.
He was looking at the ball.
Yeah.
I agree with that rule. There's a bit of a radius where you can't, unless you can contest for the ball, you can't attack the player. Fair enough. If he was going for his legs and stuff like that, send him off.
Yes.
But not when he's sort of looking and then, oh shit, I forgot to jump.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That what they should look at bringing in is, if someone gets a red card, then that player's off for the whole game, but that another player can come on after 10 minutes, like a sin bin, but that next player comes on so that the team doesn't suffer. Do you reckon there's any merit in that?
No, I think that there should be, because in league, no one really gets sent off unless it's really malicious and you ruin another guy's, just say, a really bad head high. You get put on report. But that's because there's been some instances this year when a player should have got sent off, but they just put you on report, give you 10 minutes, but then you can come back on, obviously. So I think they should probably implicate them rules in Union maybe a little bit, because as you said, playing with 14 men, you're never going to win, especially against the All Blacks.
What do you reckon, Tom? Do you reckon it's...
I think it's ridiculous that they've ruined an entire test series, because the French were pretty competitive. And the French were doing really well, right? And they even did really well with only 14 men. And it didn't have any malicious, and there was no intent, as Willie said. They weren't attacking the player in the air. It was an innocuous collision, and then, and
that's all on the refs. It's okay, well, you've got to see it with your eyes and then go, did he try and hit him in the air? Was there any malicious damage? Was there intent? And, trying to hurt a player? If you're trying to hurt a player, get off.
Yeah.
I reckon, in any sport. Any malicious sort of damage and stuff like that, get off. But not stuff like that. I've seen that and just went, game over.
Yeah. See you later. Going back, I guess, to the game on Saturday now, it's a sellout at Allianz, or the footy stadium, or whatever you're going to call it these days, which is great for rugby. Now, if there's a situation, obviously the Irish side is the strongest one they can put on the park. If the Irish come out and put Australia away, does that then mean that Australian rugby loses the momentum they've gained in the last little while?
No, I don't think so. We didn't beat England 2 years ago out here, and we obviously beat Ireland once here, and then last year we lost to Scotland. I think they're clearly a lot fitter. And the stuff that Czech and Stephen Larkham and Nathan Gray having the full-time coaches, the systems they're in place, has shown that they've developed and they've evolved. So I think we're in a really good position. I think the biggest issue still remains with Genia out is our halves.
Yeah.
And then if you
So
go,
who comes into 9, sorry?
Phipps will come into 9, and then Joe Powell, the Brumbies half, will go on to the bench, or the young guy, Jake Gordon, who's an outstanding talent, electric, is a threat with the ball. Now, the problem with, to beat the Irish, you need to be a threat with the ball, which Genia was. So Genia can either obviously beat them with his own running game, or his passing game, or his kicking game.
Do you reckon that was a cheap shot?
Oh, I think it's a 50-50 collision, and I mean,
he's running the decoy. I mean, like, what's that bloke supposed to do? Just walk out of the way?
I'd do it.
That's what I mean. You just sit right, you hold your ground and hit him back.
That's probably hence why he's calling me the grub. But
that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, if someone's going to run a decoy, I'm not going to move out of the way.
No, absolutely.
I'm going to
Free
sit
shot.
there. And it's just like, I'm not going to. It's not a cheap shot, but I just think
free one.
just a free,
and props
free sort of shot.
They're not
It's just
renowned
like,
for their footwork. So
well, he's just going to stand there. The big prop's just going to go, oh. He
Yeah.
probably just stood there. Like, you're talking about a 115, 20 kilo dude versus Genia, who's probably 90 kilo.
Yeah. I think it comes back, sorry to answer that question, it comes back to, it's Super Rugby. We've got Bernard Foley playing 10, and he's the only guy there. Quade's obviously not playing for Queensland.
Do you agree? Do you agree with what's happening with Quade? Because I reckon he's getting.
No, he's too good to play.
He's too good to play. He's playing local league. It's like being an NRL playing for like reserve grade.
Yeah.
When you're an origin player. It's just, I don't know if it's a personal thing with Thorne.
Well,
and him.
he's heard. What I've heard is that he's been given offers to go to other clubs, so to go to the Brumbies, to go to the Rebels, and he's knocked it back. He says no, he's digging his heels in.
Yeah, but a contract's a contract. I wouldn't go either. But it affects our playing depth when he can't get picked for the Wallabies.
Yeah.
And we've got Hamish Stewart, the young kid at the Reds, who's not ready. He's only a 20-year-old. The Brumbies have got Tawera, the Kiwi guy, and then the Melbourne Rebels got Jack Debrasini, but Hodge is the reserve halfback. So ultimately it comes down to our halves, and I think Checker and Larkham and Gray are doing a great job, but we need to develop more players.
Can you imagine that in New Zealand, where
but they've got the same
Australian
problems.
Rugby Union says, all right, Quade, you're not going to get a start there. Thorne thinks you're a dickhead. Go here. And he says no. Now, in New Zealand, they'd go here, go there. They just do it.
I think New Zealand are in for a rude shock. I think the All Blacks are going to struggle to beat South Africa away, and I think the Wallabies are narrowing the gap. Now, the All Blacks have got the same problem at 5'8", so they don't think that Bowden Barrett's the answer. So if he's out, McKenzie steps up, or Richie Mo'unga, the Crusaders guy. Yeah. Now, they're rewarding loyalty there, but they're not further ahead than everyone. And all of a sudden, people are saying, after the game on Saturday night, which I think Paul Cully, the journalist, alluded to, is that the All Blacks would lose to South Africa and Australia based on that performance. And I think the gap's getting narrower, and that's all we can ask for from the Wallabies. Are we getting better? We're better than we were this time last year, and that's clear.
Back to the game, I think it was 27 penalties blown. Like, was it 15 to them or 17 to them?
Yeah.
Like, how much is that just in playing union? How much does it disrupt the whole flow of the game? Like, it's like in league at the start of the year, it was like 20 penalties, 30 penalties. It was ruining the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've become a lot more disciplined now, but it took us about 14 rounds. Like 27 penalties, a lot of penalties, you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
And I think that's the problem with rugby at the moment, is that the interpretation from Northern Hemisphere to Southern Hemisphere around the breakdown, set piece and ruck is infuriating for everyone. And the game's so stop-start, they're pedantic, and it's ruining it from a spectacle perspective.
So there's no sort of battle of, fitness or anything like that, because the forwards are getting rested. They go to the line out, they do the scrums and stuff like that. So you don't see any fatigue in any of these forwards, and they come off at 60, 70 minutes or 50 minutes, and you put another fresh guy on. There's no fatigue level I see, especially when you keep blowing penalty after penalty. Like 27 is ridiculous. And 15 went to the Irish.
Well, you wonder, do they have like an inferiority complex? And I'm not here to bag the referees, but it's like, I'm the centre of attention.
They had the shit out of him. I hate him.
This is a pretty good forum for you to bag referees.
On the centre of attention, I'm going to blow the pee out of the whistle. But you're right. If you saw the Irish in the last 10 minutes, they were out on their feet.
Yeah.
They were consistently rotating their bench. And I think Australia, if they can play a fast game and there's no penalties this weekend, they will win. They are clearly fitter than they've ever been before.
That was the comments after the first test. The captain come out and goes, they were quicker, they're more aggressive, they were stronger. I looked at the second test, and I'm like, they didn't look anything like that. Yeah. Obviously, I think the Irish, they didn't start their, like Sexton, he's world class, and a couple of other players they played off the bench. And I knew the second game was going to be a proper test, which was now. Yeah. Now this third, what I'm looking forward to, I'll probably go to the game, but it'll be a great game,
and I think it's a big game for Phipps and Foley. I think it's a real...
Foley's the one.
He's the 10.
Yeah. With Quade Cooper, the situation there, would he challenge Foley?
Yeah, he would. You've been in that situation,
So that sucks. That sucks for if you're obviously a Union supporter, That sucks for Australian rugby.
Yep.
It's like if you got a guy who's sitting in clubland who can actually wear this jersey, and Bernard Foley's not actually performing that well. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, I think competition breeds better performances because you consistently know
Bernard Foley, no one's going to take his spot.
Well,
No one's taking his spot. He can play shit house and he's still going to get picked next week.
Two things that I'm interested in from your perspective. Obviously, you played a huge amount of Super Rugby. The Super Rugby as it stands now, the broadcast deal I think has another year or two to go. When that broadcast deal finishes, should Australia pull out of the Super Rugby as it stands now and create their own competition?
I think it's broken. I think they've ruined the model. I think we used to, when we, I hate to be the guy coming back on saying when it was...
No, it was good when you were playing.
You had to play home and away, and then, or you'd play away, and then, if you made the semis, you made the semis. So top 4 made the semis.
But like when you were playing, that's when I was actually, you would support the Waratahs and stuff like that, and Brumbies, and
38,000,
just to try and beat the New Zealand teams.
100%.
And South African wasn't that, they had a couple of good teams, but they weren't as good as they are now, and now you got Argentina, Japan team in there. It's just like, you lost me.
Yeah, and then you don't even, you can, lose more games than you win, but if you top your conference, you make a semi-final and it's a home semi-final, and I think it's diluting the product massively.
It is.
And you only have to look at the attendance figures. Some of the games have been really high quality, but no one's going to watch, and it's not helping Australian rugby. No. I said off air earlier, our Australian 20s finished 5th, our 7s finished 4th. We've obviously cut aside, and I think Checker and that are doing a great job with the talent pool that they've got. But we've got to be developing better footballs. We've got to be developing better product, as Willie just alluded to. So those test players like Will Genia isn't going to lay down Misera every week. And that's what the great teams and the Queensland sides in the Rugby League have done, and we just haven't done that.
Do you agree with, what's happening now, just say with this whole test thing? Have the players have 3 or 4 weeks off?
Yeah.
They have to go back to the NRC or the...
Crazy, ridiculous.
Is that a stupid idea?
Absolutely ridiculous.
It's like just say if the NRL were going to do that, it's just like, all right, State of Origin players, you only play, all the other guys go on a holiday.
Yep.
And go back and play local league or reserve grade. This just would not happen. It's just not really good for the game because you just start getting into the Super Rugby, it's getting exciting. It's like, we're just going to have a 6-week break.
But it was a war of attrition. You used to play Super Rugby, and in the 2008 final when we just made it, we had a lot of injuries, but we fell over the line and we got there. But that's what built the camaraderie amongst the group. Because you'd be looking next to your mate.
You need to go to war with your mate.
100%. So we flew back from South Africa, had to play in Suncorp on the Friday night to make it. We made it. We played a home semi, Phil Ward's 100th, and then we had to fly to Christchurch in the final. We'd done all this travelling and it had bonded us together. But I remember blokes looking, going, mate, like Lottie and Dan Vickerman going, don't be weak out there. Don't be the bloke that doesn't get up for the contest. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
Now, mate, they've just had 4 weeks holiday. But then we can go back and resume the battle.
You don't.
No.
You can't.
No.
It's like you're going back to in the off season again.
Yeah.
Then you come back and then you got to play the Super Rugby again, where I don't think our local league comp is strong enough. Like with the All Blacks in the New Zealand system, they go back to the NPC.
Yeah.
Strong as hell, Curry Cup, strong as hell, and they come back and they don't really lose that much.
Yeah.
I think the players that go back to our comp, Shoot Shield or whatever it's called, they're not coming back as sharp as they were.
Yeah.
So I just think this is sort of just regressing.
And they've diluted the Shoot Shield product.
Yeah.
It's not home and away anymore.
Yeah.
They've just got rid of Penrith. We then go into this NRC, which is this national club that no one really cares about. Half the professional players are over it. They're on holidays or they're injured. It's like... They've created meaningless competition, and as you know,
it's mediocrity. That's what it is. Like you just go back in there and just like, it's like you're semi-pro again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not full
I
time.
mean, to be fair, you're probably one of the biggest proponents of the Shoot Shield, and I understand the grassroots like the Shoot Shield. I don't have a problem with the NRC. I think there needs to probably be either the NRC growing or it needs to go completely, and the Shoot Shield needs to have the money that the NRC is going back into it.
And my counter-argument to that is, Willie, is that two teams, the Waratahs and the Brumbies, so players, let's say 15 to 40 who aren't involved in the test setup, or 10 to 40 went and played 2 Japanese sides over the weekend, so they played Suntory and NEC, and both teams lost. So what that tells me is the next tier of player isn't getting that level of exposure, isn't getting prepared well enough to play Super Rugby. So if they were to turn up, someone's going to have to step into Will Genia's spot now at the Rebels. Are they good enough to do that? And is the competition... You know what it's like. You can't be the best version of yourself or the best player and having moments or games where you don't have to try or you're not accountable for your performance. Can you imagine that?
100%.
Like when you played, it just doesn't work. And that's what we've created. We've created an environment where you can get away with not having to be at your best.
And you start building bad habits.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing. When you're playing Super Rugby, it's the highest sort of level, and then you go back. I just can't imagine being there. Like that's like NRL Super Rugby, and then going back another level.
Yeah.
Like if you're not at that Wallaby level, I just don't understand. It's not going to make you a better player.
No, I used to like it because it was the only level I was good at, so I could go back from Super Rugby and dominate club rugby and be a bit of a hero.
Bit of confidence. Sometimes I'm up for a bit of confidence. Go back and beat the shit out of some people.
Yeah, it was the only thing we were ever going to win, so it was nice.
So, boys, last question. I'll start with you, actually, William. Does Australia win on Saturday?
Yeah, I reckon they'll learn from their mistakes. I think they know that the Irish are the real deal now. They got a little bit of a test. Corby doesn't get sent off. I think it's a different game.
Yeah, Wallabies by 10, 15 plus. I reckon the Irish are out on their feet. Good refereeing who doesn't blow the pee out of the whistle and allow us to play a fast game. We'll run over the top of them.
Well, I hope you blokes are right because I'm sick of despair.
And who are you going for, Ian?
I think Australia will win.
By how much?
15.
Just give the ball to Curtly Bill and he'll score all the tries and Israel Folau. Jesus Christ.